I am someone that pretends to be okay, but I am not okay. I am a man that is living on borrowed time, and I am owing a traditional healer a lot of money. In order for me to survive, I have to find a woman who is willing to sleep with me whilst I am wearing a snake around my waist. Or if I do not get such a woman, then the money will stop coming to me. I am willing to pay 15,000 rands a month, but there is no one that wants this money from me. Brother Nashi, you can call me Junior. My dad was Nigerian and my mom is Zulu. My old man, he was a hustler. He was a great man who migrated from Nigeria and then he came to South Africa. He always told me, he always said, Junior, I am building all of this for you. When I am gone, I want you to make sure that you keep these properties and you keep on building wealth. My father, he always told me of stories of him suffering and struggling in Nigeria. And he said that him coming to South Africa, he wanted a better life. And through my mother, he had been able to get a good life. And he always thanked my mom for believing in him when he came to South Africa when they met, and then my mother agreed to marry my dad. Because of my mom, my dad, he was able to get legal status in South Africa. He managed to start a lot of businesses. He was someone that was very honest and he was very hardworking and he knew how to save money. My dad managed to get into the real estate business. He started by buying a house in the location, but my dad told me that he was not staying in the location. They were staying in a rented apartment in the suburbs. In that location, he then put a lot of back rooms and he was earning a salary from that. He was treating it as a business each and every month, and when he would collect money, he would keep the money in a savings account and he would not use it until his salary date. And he started building his wealth like that. Him and my mom, they started selling soccer jerseys and they had a shop in town, and that is how my dad and my mom managed to start buying homes, and they bought houses in the fancy suburbs and they would buy and sell. My dad, he finally passed away. When my father passed away, he left me with 4 houses. Since I was the only son, he left me with 4 houses, 2 in Midrand and 2 in Randburg, and I thought that I was set for life. I was 26, I was rich, I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I did not lack anything. Went to a private school and was supposed to go to university, but I did some stuff and I could not go to university. My dad was angry with me. He thought that he was punishing me. So I started going to college. I was very arrogant because I thought that my dad's money would never run out. And I never thought that my dad one day he was going to die. I always thought that my dad was going to be around and you keep on making money. Instead of being a businessman like my own dad, I started hanging around with the wrong crew. Usually, I would hang around with boys from the suburbs, some of them that were doing drugs, that were really spoiled. Those were the guys that I used to hang around with. I became a groovist. A groovist is a term that my friend coined of someone that lives to go to a groove each and every day. You think about weekend so that you can go and you can party and spend as much money as you can. By the end of 2022, I had sold 3 of the houses just to keep up with my lifestyle. 50,000 that I would blow. I once blew 50k at Conker. It was only one weekend. I had a girl that I had met online. This girl, she was so beautiful. She was awesome. I flew her from Cape Town and she was top of the range. And I flew her to Joburg, so I just wanted to spoil her. When I checked the amount of money that I had spent, I saw that I had spent over 50,000 rands. I would buy clothes that I did not even need. clothes that I did not have time to wear. By mid-2023, the last house, it was under bank repossession and I was broke. I was so desperate that I started dating elderly women, sugar mummies from the neighborhood where we grew up staying. I knew that there were a couple of widows, those that had money but they did not have men, because people that stay in the estates, they really do not have time to find men and they want people that they trust. So I started to date these elderly women, and those women, indeed, they loved to sleep with me. And these sugar mummies were the one that would pay for my fuel, my gym membership. I went from being a landlord to a man who had to perform sexually for only 2,000 rands allowance. That was when I met a woman whom I am going to call Sarah on Tinder. She was a wealthy Zimbabwean widow. She was very beautiful. I met him at a Virgin Active gym. She was so sophisticated and she was so nice and she was very generous with me. She took me out. I can say that Sarah took me out of the gutter and she treated me as if I was like a king. I thought that I had hit the jackpot again and the gods had smiled upon me, not knowing that Sarah was not looking for a boyfriend, but she was a ritualist. She used to take me around the world and she loved me with all of her heart, even though she was much older than I was, but I really did not mind being around her. Even if someone would give us a stinky eye when we would be on a vacation, me hanging around her, kissing her, with the way that she was much older than I was, people would look, but I did not even care, because Sarah, she was like my ATM. Whenever I wanted money, she made sure that I got the money in time. She then took me on a luxury vacation to Maldives. This was in early 2024. Yo, man, that was so beautiful. That place, it is like paradise on earth. Everything was perfect. We were enjoying. We had done this several times, me and her. We had gone on beautiful vacations across the world, but she had not yet taken me to Maldives yet. And when we were there, one afternoon, whilst she was in the shower, I was looking for a charger in her Louis Vuitton handbag. That was when I saw, at first I felt that there was something that was moving. I thought that maybe it was a toy, but then I saw the snake. First of all, I saw that there were skulls. I thought that maybe it was a fish. Since we were hanging around the water, I thought that maybe it was a funny prank. She had a fish that she had in her Louis Vuitton bag. A snake, it was something that I did not even think about it. And I saw that it was not a fish, but it was a small green snake. This snake, it was hiding, curled up right next to her Chanel lipstick. I nearly jumped out of the overwater villa where we were. I wanted to scream, but it seemed as if there was someone that was choking me. I could not even let out my voice. When she came out, I did not even hide it. I asked her straight and I said, "Babe, what is this?" You know, most of the women, after you would have told a woman that there is a green snake inside of her Louis Vuitton handbag, she would scream. But as for Sarah, she was calm, too calm. She sat me down and then she told me the truth. Back in 1993, she said when she had not yet migrated to our country, she was still in Zimbabwe. She was from Zimbabwe, by the way. Her late husband, she told me, had accidentally run over his own mechanic. He said he had taken his car, a Land Cruiser, that he had at that time, so that his mechanic can sort it out. They used to own several buses, so she told me. And when he went there, it was late at night because he wanted to rush to the farm. When he got there, then after the mechanic had fixed the car, he went into the office And then that was when he just came back without checking or even knowing where the mechanic was. He then drove, and after he drove on top of the mechanic, then he realized the mistake that he had done. After he had realized the mistake that he had done, that was when he called his wife, who is Sarah. She told me that back in her country, she was a top-end lawyer. She rushed to the place where this accident had happened, and then they thought of just burying this man. They were already wealthy. They did not want the scandal, so they covered it up. They buried the man in their own farm in a shallow grave. But then the mechanic's spirit did not rest. They started to see the ghost. She said after a couple of months after they had buried the man, they would see that man in their house, hearing footsteps on the roof. There were times, she said, when she would hear that there is someone that would be throwing stones on top of the roof. They went to a powerful traditional healer from her country who gave them a tokoloshi. This tokoloshi was the one that would fight with the spirit of that man that had been killed by her husband and to protect their wealth. But there was a price. The wealth was now tied to the tokoloshi, and they had to appease the tokoloshi at all the times with a ritual. After a husband had passed away, the ritual started failing. She told me that if you want to stay in the soft life, you have to continue doing what the soft life wants you to do. She told me of some of the horrific stuff that she had to do in order for her to maintain the wealth that had been left behind by her own husband. She then said to me, she wanted me to help her renew the contract in a country in Zimbabwe. I was broke, I was a band 10 and addicted to the luxury that she gave to me. So I said yes. Besides, she told me that her tokoloshi had chosen me. That is why it had revealed itself to me in form of a snake. The snake was not even going to bite me. We drove from South Africa. We went to a remote village in her country. We could have gone to Zimbabwe via an aeroplane, but she had some clay pots that you can't get through the airport with all of those clay pots with the things that were inside. So we had to hide those clay pots inside some of the luggage that we had. And when we arrived in Musina, she did her stuff and we managed to pass through the border. And after we were in her country, we waited for the people who went with the clay pots through the Limpopo River. They came and they gave us the bag, because this bag, it contains a lot of stuff. When we arrived there, we stayed for a little while, and then I was taken to the traditional healer. This traditional healer was not the same one that had helped her and her husband, for that man had died a very long time ago. His little brother was the one that was the traditional healer that was working from that shrine. And when we slept the next morning, the healer then told me to go into the bushes, which was not very far from where the shrine was, and to look for firewood. As I was walking around, I saw that indeed witchcraft is for real in Zim, because I saw a snake. This snake, it had the body of a little baby, but without feet. It was the scariest thing that I had ever seen in my entire life. When I returned back, I told Sarah. She laughed at me and she said, "Oh, that snake, it belongs to Seguru, the traditional healer. It was waiting for the traditional healer to cook sorghum porridge so that it can eat. That is what it eats in the morning, as well as blood here and there." After looking for the firewood, that was when I returned back to the compound, and I was told to light that fire. And after I had lit the fire, the healer then told me to step into the blazing flames. I thought that he was scary. I looked at Sarah, she nodded at me, and I stepped into the flames. And Nashi, I swear to you, I did not even burn. The fire felt like it was warm, like warm water. and then they started to chant in their Shona language. I could not understand because I only know how to greet. At the end, the healer then handed me a thick dark leather belt. It was a little bit old, but when I touched it, it felt like it had a heartbeat. It was very soft. He told me that this was what was going to protect my pockets. I was supposed to wear this belt when I am naked only. I take this belt and I wear it around my waist. I have to do it only when I am sleeping, being intimate with a woman. If I take it off while sleeping with a woman, then it means that I won't be able to have money. The money that I have in my house that is vomited by this snake that I own, it can just turn into dust. So I have to continue doing these rituals. I came back to Joburg and then I started to make money. I even got into a business of consultation and I got a small tender from this big company. They only deal in tenders. I got that connection through Sarah. I did not even have to apply for a very long time. They were calling me. My bank account, it was staying full no matter how much I spent. But then that leather belt, I have to sleep with a woman. So I started dating these women and it is really tough to this very day. Most of the women, even if it is a slay queen, unless a woman is drunk, when I bring a slay queen into my apartment, then I start to undress her, then I undress myself, and then I go to my closet and then I take the belt, then I tie it around my waist. Most of the women in their sober mind, they will ask, what is the meaning of that? I have a lot of slay queens that I have brought into my home that end up running out of my apartment screaming before the night is even over. There are a lot of slay queens that when they see me, they say that I am weird or I am an occult guy. I can't take off this belt and sleep with a woman without having this belt. That is why I am here. It has been almost 6 months now. I have not yet made love to any woman. I am desperate now because I am being told that if you do not find a woman to sleep with, then your money is going to dry up. I am looking for a woman on your page, brother. If you can post, I am looking for a woman that is between 18 and 19 who has never had a child in her life. Any woman who is tired of poverty, who needs money, who does not care about a lot of things. I am offering 15,000 a month for someone to stay and to just be happy with me and sleep with me whilst I am wearing this belt. I have the money, I have the cars, I have the clothes. All that I need is a queen who can stand by my side, who can say, no matter what the rain will bring, I am going to stick to this man, for he can give me what I want. If you think that 15k is worth it, my DM is open. This is my story. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother, who is saying that it is now 6 months. He is looking for a woman between 18 and 19 who has never had a child in her entire life. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. He's saying that each and every woman that he tries to reach out to, this woman will say, no, I can't do it, even for 15,000. What if I die? Let us try to speak with our dear brother in the comment section. Are you willing to do such a thing? Let us meet in the following episode.